That sounds amazing. It also sounds unfamiliar. Is that how regulators in India work?
Some very strange and remarkable things happened in India. And this goes back to the broader lack of knowledge in India about the basics of political science and public administration. Organizations like the RBI and the SEBI started combining not just the legislative power to write a regulation and the executive power to do investigations and licensing and prosecution, but also the judicial power of awarding a punishment. Suddenly, you now have a monster of 17th century political philosophy, that we have fused the legislative function and the executive function and the judicial function. And at this point, we needed people to wake up and start saying, like, this is not on. Separation of powers is a part of the basic structure of the Constitution of India. We have done an entire episode on it. And for the people that know political science and history and constitutional philosophy, this is not on. And it's a comment on the backwardness of India, about India as a third world country, that this kind of knowledge was not present in India. Okay, so I know many of the people that laid the foundations of RBI and SEBI personally. These are wonderful people. These are my friends. I look up to these people. I admire the people. These are great, good human beings. They meant well. But this is knowledge, and they just did not have that knowledge. So recklessly, we started building towards agencies that combined all these powers together into a single agency. And worse, very low levels of rule of law. Okay, you correctly did that checklist. That what is the rule of law? The people should know the law. The law should be equally enforced on everybody. There should be due process about how the process of enforcement against people takes place. There should be an unbiased hearing where the accused is able to defend herself. And the law should be predictable for long periods of time. There should not be sudden changes, frequent changes in the law. All these five were not there anywhere in the picture. How does all this happen? There's a parliamentary law that writes the code of each regulator. And in that code, you need all these things. The rule of law needs to be coded into the law that creates a RBI or a airport's economic regulatory authority. The surgical control of what kind of regulation making power you have needs to be written into the law that creates the airport's economic regulatory authority. And separation of powers. Like, it is awkward and concerning when you've fused a legislative and an executive function, but you can't go all the way to the power to award punishments. That's a different level of problem altogether. And these three things were fused into regulators in India, and that gave us a really bad environment.